Hey guys, so today's lesson is Springboard lesson 1.4. And so our learning targets for today, we're going to analyze how the response in the personal narrative contributes to the development of the story and identify and use an organizational structure to develop ideas and events in a personal narrative. Okay, so it gives us the definition here of what a personal narrative is, and it also tells us what a first-person point of view autobiographical story. That's a lot of words there. So a personal narrative means that it's a story about you, and a first person, well, that's first person is you're telling the person who is telling the story is who the story is about. So if I was telling a story about when I was in 6th grade, that would be a first person point of view. I remember there is a second person point of view. That is when, it's rare though, it's when the narrator uses the pronoun you. So it's like, I don't know if you've ever read the Choose Your Own Adventure books, but they were popular when I was a kid. So it's like, you go into a room and you see two doors. Do you want to choose the left door or the right door? If you choose the right door, turn to page 25. If you choose the left door, that kind of thing. So it's a rare perspective. And then third person uses the pronouns he, she, them, those guys over there, and it's an outside narrator usually. It's not the first person. It's not the person who the story is happening to. Okay, so this one is a first person point of view, and it is autobiographical, so it means the story is about them. If they were writing a biography, that would be a story about somebody else that is a true story. Okay? So in this story, we're going to break it into three parts: the incident, the thing that happens, the response, how the character responds to the incident, and the reflection. Thinking back on that piece, looking back, how did it affect them, how did it change their lives, and why was it important? Okay, so as you read the text, here's what it wants you to do. It says, as you read the following personal narrative, use close reading and mark the text for setting. So you're going to you can use this little draw tools up here to mark the text, and make sure anytime you add something, or before you close it out, you want to push the little disk up here to save it. Okay, and make sure you save it to a place where you remember you saved it, so it's there when you need it. So we'll talk about organizing our files in the next couple of days. Well, we already would have by the time you get here. So we'll talk about how to organize files earlier than you've already seen this. So it says you're going to mark the setting, the major incident of the story, the narrator's response to the incident, and the reflection about the incident. So you're going to identify these three parts right here. Also, as you're going through, circle unknown words and phrases, and then try and figure out what they mean by using context clues, word parts, or less a dictionary if you can, so you can always just Google what the word means. Okay, so the story is called My Superpowers by Dan Greenberg. So remember to do these things as you're reading. It's not a super long story. Okay, so remember you can take notes. That one works better. Last time I had giant letters. Okay, so after you read it, I want you to come back and what details from the story tell you about how the incident of bullying the narrator describes is different from the usual bullying he experiences. Okay, so he gets bullied, but how is this experience different than usual? Why did Greenberg name his series Maximum Boy? Make an inference about what maximum means. Remember, inference, to infer, means you are making an educated guess based on textual evidence. Okay, so if you infer that he is a mad scientist, you need to be able to use textual evidence to show that he is going to grow up to be a mad scientist, which in this case you can't, but that's just an example. Okay, use context clues to check your inference. What does it tell you about the series? Personal, right here, number 3, where does Greenberg's reflection on the importance of this incident begin? Summarize what he says is the impact of that incident in his later life. Then we have a little graphic organizer here. During the class discussion, which we'll do in class together during our synchronous time, to take notes on the key parts of my superpower. Actually, the class discussion, you guys should already have this filled out, and then we'll discuss what you put in here, because it'll be our asynchronous. You do this in asynchronous time, and then we'll talk about it during synchronous time. And you're going to identify the thing that happened, how he responded to that incident, and then looking back, how that incident, what he learned, what lessons he had from that part in life. Okay, and then once again, we'll talk about this narrative writing prompt that refers to one that we already did before. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Remember, if we have any questions, that's what those synchronous times are going to be for. We'll talk about these together, but it's important that you'll have work done before we get there so you can join our discussions. All right, guys, thanks.